Have you ever sat down, carefully created a budget, and then watched it completely fall apart by the second week of the month? You're not alone. Most people think budgeting is the key to financial freedom. But here's the shocking truth. Traditional budgeting might actually be holding you back from wealth. Picture this. Every month, you plan exactly how much to spend on groceries, gas, entertainment, and bills. You stick to it for a week or two, then something comes up. A small emergency, a coffee habit, a dinner with friends, and suddenly your entire plan is off track. You feel guilty, you feel stressed. And the worst part? The cycle repeats month after month, and your bank account barely grows. Now, suppose I tell you there's a better way. One that doesn't rely on endless spreadsheets, strict rules, or daily tracking, but instead builds wealth automatically and sustainably? In this video, I'm going to show you why you should stop budgeting the traditional way and what to do instead to take control of your finances, reduce stress, and finally start building real wealth. The problem with traditional budgeting. Most people fail at budgeting, and it's rarely because they lack discipline. The real problem? The system itself is flawed. Traditional budgeting asks you to track every single dollar. You sort expenses into needs and wants, create a rigid monthly plan, and then try to follow it perfectly. On paper, it seems reasonable. In reality, life doesn't work that way. Emergencies pop up, prices rise unexpectedly, and habits or impulses can derail even the most careful planner. Think about it. You budget $200 for groceries, but then the price of milk and eggs jumps. Or maybe a friend invites you out, and suddenly you're overspending on meals. One small deviation, and the whole plan feels like it's falling apart. Over time, this constant effort and frustration chip away at your motivation. It's no wonder that over 80% of people fail to stick to their budget each month. But it's not just about numbers. It's about the emotional toll. Traditional budgeting often creates stress, guilt, and a persistent feeling of not enough. You might obsessively check your spending, constantly edit your budget, or avoid certain purchases entirely out of fear of overspending. On the other hand, some people react the opposite way. Feeling restricted, they eventually splurge in rebellion, wiping out weeks of careful planning in a single moment. And here's the hidden danger. Strict budgeting can train your brain to think in scarcity. When your focus is constantly on "don't spend this" or "can't afford that," money stops feeling like a tool for opportunity and growth. It becomes a source of anxiety instead of freedom. You're trapped in a cycle of stress, self-control, and disappointment, exactly the opposite of what money should do. Traditional budgeting also wastes a lot of mental energy. Hours spent tracking, adjusting, and recalculating could instead be spent finding ways to earn more, automate savings, or invest intelligently. When budgets consume more time and attention than they save, they start working against you instead of for you. So if the traditional approach is flawed, overly restrictive, and emotionally draining, what's the alternative? How can you take control of your finances without feeling chained to a spreadsheet every month, while still building wealth consistently? That's exactly what we'll explore next. The psychology behind money and why budgets fail. To understand why budgets fail, we need to look at the psychology behind money. Humans aren't naturally wired for strict financial discipline. Our brains are built to seek instant gratification, which is why spending triggers pleasure and reward, while saving requires patience, self-control, and long-term thinking. Think about it for a moment. You might easily resist spending $5 on a cup of coffee today because it feels small and inconsequential. But what about a $500 impulse buy? A new gadget, or a trendy outfit? That's far harder to resist because it triggers an emotional response. Our brains are wired to react to desires and emotions, not logic. And this is exactly why traditional budgeting often fails. It tries to force logical decisions onto emotional humans. Consider a common scenario. Your budget says you can only spend $200 on groceries this month. It seems reasonable, right? But then a friend invites you to dinner, the price of milk jumps unexpectedly, or you feel stressed after a long week at work. Suddenly, your carefully planned budget is shattered. Emotional reactions, social pressures, and unexpected events override the rigid rules you set for yourself. The result? Frustration, guilt, or even overspending in rebellion against the restrictions. Behavioral economics shows that humans respond better to systems than strict rules. Systems remove decision fatigue and reduce guilt. Instead of constantly asking yourself, "Can I afford this?" you create a framework where money flows automatically to the right places. Your brain naturally follows the system without stress, so you can enjoy life while still building wealth. This is the foundation of the better alternative to budgeting. Rather than tracking every penny and forcing yourself to say no all the time, you set up automated systems that guide your money for you. You allocate a portion to necessities, savings, investments, and even fun, without having to think about it daily. By using systems instead of strict budgets, you reduce anxiety, prevent decision fatigue, and eliminate the emotional tug-of-war with money. You're no longer trying to fight your brain's natural tendencies, you're working with them. This allows you to spend wisely, save consistently, and invest strategically, all while enjoying your life. When you understand this principle, you realize budgeting isn't just ineffective, it's counterproductive for most people. And that's why the smarter, system-based approach is not just easier, it's also far more powerful for achieving financial freedom. The better alternative: focus on income allocation and systems. So, what's the solution to the stress, frustration, and failure that comes with traditional budgeting? The key is income allocation and automated systems. Instead of meticulously tracking every dollar and trying to force yourself to follow a rigid plan, you decide upfront where your money will go and set up systems that handle it automatically. This method allows you to focus on living your life while your finances work in the background. The first principle is simple but powerful. Pay yourself first. Most people make the mistake of paying bills, spending on wants, and then seeing what's left to save. The problem with that approach is predictable. There's often nothing left. By reversing the order, setting aside money for savings, investments, and wealth building before you touch anything else, you make your financial growth non-negotiable. Next, automation becomes your best friend. Imagine setting up your bills, savings, and investment contributions to transfer automatically as soon as your paycheck hits your account. This removes temptation, eliminates decision fatigue, and ensures your money goes exactly where it should, without relying on willpower every month. Automation is not just convenience, it's a strategy for success. Let's make this concrete with an example. Say you earn $3,000 a month. Instead of creating a traditional budget with endless categories, you allocate your income like this: 50% to necessities like rent, food, utilities, and essential bills. 20% to savings and investments like retirement accounts, emergency funds, or long-term investment vehicles. 20% to debt repayment or other financial goals like paying down high-interest debt or funding a personal growth fund. 10% to personal fun or discretionary spending like hobbies, entertainment, or small luxuries that keep life enjoyable. Notice how this system still allows freedom. You aren't cutting yourself off from life's pleasures. Rather, you're prioritizing your financial future first, creating a safety net and building wealth automatically. This approach is inspired by modern financial systems like Profit First and other wealth-building strategies that focus on allocation instead of restriction. The real difference is that your money flows toward growth rather than stress. No more obsessing over every grocery purchase, no more guilt over a small coffee, and no more spreadsheet anxiety. Your brain doesn't have to make endless decisions. Your system does the work for you. Here's another practical scenario. Imagine you get a bonus or extra side income. Instead of wondering how to spend it, you follow the same allocation percentages. Some goes to savings, some to debt reduction, some to fun. The system doesn't change, and neither does your stress level. This consistency is what separates people who struggle financially from those who build wealth effortlessly over time. By focusing on income allocation and automation, you create a stress-free, predictable financial system. It's not about denying yourself or counting every penny. It's about designing your money to work for you. Over time, this system compounds. Savings grow, investments multiply, and debt decreases. In other words, you're no longer trying to control every transaction. You're leveraging your money to create freedom, security, and real wealth. Step-by-step guide to implement this system. Now that you understand why traditional budgeting fails and how a system-based approach works, let's break it down step by step so you can start implementing it today, no matter your income or financial situation. Step 1. Calculate your income streams. Before anything else, you need a clear picture of how much money is coming in each month. This isn't just your salary. It includes freelance work, side hustles, passive income, or any irregular payments. Write them all down and calculate your total monthly inflow. Knowing exactly what you have to work with is the foundation for building a system that works. Without this clarity, any allocation plan will be incomplete or ineffective. Step 2. Determine your percentages. Next, decide how your money should flow. A common starting point is the 50-20-20-10 method. 50% for necessities, 20% for savings and investments, 20% for debt repayment or financial goals, 10% for discretionary spending. The beauty of this method is its flexibility. You can adjust the percentages to suit your lifestyle, but the principle remains. Your wealth-building priorities are automated and non-negotiable, while still leaving room to enjoy life. Step 3. Automate transfers. Automation is where this system truly shines. Set up your bank or investment accounts so that transfers happen as soon as your income arrives. For instance, 20% goes straight into a savings account, 50% stays in checking for essentials, and 20% toward debt or financial goals. By automating, you eliminate the temptation to spend money that should be growing your wealth. Your brain doesn't have to make decisions every day. It follows the system automatically. Step 4. Review monthly, not daily. Here's a game-changing tip. Stop obsessing over every purchase. Instead of checking your spending daily, simply review your accounts at the end of each month. This reduces stress, prevents decision fatigue, and lets you focus on long-term growth rather than short-term guilt. The goal is consistent action, not perfection in every transaction. Step 5. Adjust when needed. Life is unpredictable. Bills change, income fluctuates, or emergencies arise. That's why your system should be flexible. Tweak percentages slightly when necessary, but don't abandon the framework. Even minor adjustments keep your money flowing toward your priorities without derailing your plan entirely. Step 6. Start small. Scale up. If 20% toward savings or investments feels intimidating, start smaller. 5 to 10% of your income is enough to create momentum. The key is consistency. As you get comfortable, gradually increase the allocation. Over time, compounding works its magic, and small, steady contributions turn into substantial wealth. By following these 6 steps, you remove the guesswork from money management. You're no longer chained to spreadsheets or strict rules. Instead, you're guiding your money strategically, ensuring it works for you while reducing stress, building wealth, and giving you the freedom to enjoy life. Benefits over traditional budgeting. So why is this system far better than traditional budgeting? Let's break it down. First is stress reduction. Traditional budgeting forces you to track every penny, constantly adjust numbers, and feel guilty when unexpected expenses appear. With a system-based approach, most of the work happens automatically. Bills, savings, and investments are handled without daily effort, so you no longer live under constant financial pressure. Life becomes simpler, and money stops being a source of anxiety. Second is freedom. When your financial priorities are automatically taken care of, you can spend the rest of your money guilt-free. Want to treat yourself or go on a small adventure? You can do so without feeling like you're breaking the budget. This freedom transforms your relationship with money from stress and restriction to empowerment and choice. Third is faster wealth building. By paying yourself first and automating savings and investments, your money grows consistently, taking advantage of compounding over time. Unlike strict budgets that focus only on restriction, this system actively creates wealth without requiring constant effort. And finally, mental clarity. Without obsessing over spreadsheets or daily tracking, your brain is free to focus on bigger opportunities, building income, pursuing passions, and creating a life you enjoy. Instead of being trapped by numbers, you're in control, working smarter, not harder, to achieve financial freedom. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. Even with a system, mistakes happen, and knowing them up front can save you stress and money. Mistake 1. Spending before allocating. Always transfer savings and investments first, like a non-negotiable bill, to prioritize wealth building. Mistake 2. Ignoring irregular expenses. Life is unpredictable. Car repairs, medical bills, or gifts can disrupt your system. Set aside a small buffer for these surprises. Mistake 3. Setting unrealistic percentages. Starting too high can backfire. Begin small, stay consistent, and gradually increase allocations to let compounding work in your favor. Mistake 4. Overcomplicating the system. Too many categories or rules overwhelm you. Keep it simple to follow consistently. Avoiding these mistakes makes your system stronger, sustainable, and far more effective than traditional budgeting. So here's the bottom line. Stop budgeting in the traditional way. Stop stressing over every dollar. Stop feeling guilty when life happens, and stop chasing perfection. Instead, focus on building a system where your money automatically goes to the right places, toward necessities, savings, investments, and financial goals. Let automation and simple allocation do the heavy lifting for you. Start today. Even if it's just setting up one automatic transfer, you're taking control of your finances in a smarter, less stressful way. Over time, this approach compounds into true financial freedom. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because I share practical strategies like this regularly to help you build wealth and live a financially free life.